I think one of the biggest things I've learned in my career is how important your energy is. Because I've never been the most talented creator. Honestly, that's just a great way to go through life, right? Like just staying curious. Figuring out how to deal with my anxiety and panic disorder was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. Like, how do we future-proof what we do, so we can continue to do what we love?
I ain't trying to get between you. I'm just trying to get between you.
Jon Brandon Cruz.
Yes.
Commercial director, editor, motion graphics artist. Been doing this for 13 plus years.
Mm-hmm.
And you've worked with everyone from The Rock to Will Smith to Selena Gomez to John Krasinski. I mean...
Shay Mitchell, Pitbull.
Oof.
Yeah. I worked for Shay for a couple years. I worked for Pitbull for a couple years. The Rock now coming up on 4. Will Smith for a couple years. So just kind of been in like the content creator space for big celebrities for a while.
How did you get into that? How did you get started?
Like, how deep do we want to go?
I want to go deep.
Deep? Okay. So I moved to Los Angeles from Texas when I was young, like 10 years old.
Mm-hmm.
My father was he was on the radio in Texas, and he got a job literally up the street from here at NBC as a television news reporter. So when we moved out here, he would pick me up from school in the news van. And so every day after school, like, all these kids were getting picked up in their nice cars, and then this big NBC, like, prehistoric looking news van would pull up, and my dad would slide open the door and be like, come in, we're gonna go drive around LA. And like, he would basically do his work, and I would be in the back seat, like watching him, be a reporter basically.
Yeah.
And it was kind of through osmosis of seeing him interview people and create these stories. And this was like before social media, but they would have to like flip a story the same day. So I saw like how quickly you could piece together, like a short story, and it would have to go up on the news that night. So I just kind of like fell in love with it then. And then I actually went to school for architecture, but when I graduated from school, the architecture industry was like collapsing. This was right around the 2008 financial crisis. So I got home from college and I asked my dad, like, Dad, what should I do? I don't know if I'm going to be able to get a job. And he was like, I can give you an old camera we have, and why don't you just, all the things you saw me do, like, would you be interested in getting into, learning how to make videos? And I was kind of like, at first I was like, I don't want to do what my dad did, but, I was like, okay, I'll give it a shot. And he was super supportive. And so basically, I just started really small locally in Los Angeles. Like, I started reaching out I was going to this poetry lounge. So
I didn't even know we had those.
It was awesome. Like, this was like 2000, maybe like 2010. And this poetry lounge, it's on Fairfax. Mm-hmm. But like people like Kanye West and Common and these like huge hip hop artists would come through and do poetry. And it was $5 to get in. And
oh my God.
It was so cool. Like, I was living with my parents, and I would drive into LA and I would see these poets, and it was like I was exposed to this such raw energy from these poets. So I had a camera, and I was like, why don't I start asking them if they want their like poems recorded? So for a little while, I was making these like bust videos for these poets. Like, there was like one time where I didn't even press record. I didn't even know what I was doing, but I basically just started that way. And I was putting together these little videos. And then one day my dad's like, you should find like a lane that you can run in. Like, find a space where you can make a name for yourself. And it just came to me right there. I was like, I want to pursue music, because I was just really into music and I wanted to travel. So like on the spot, I was like, all right, that's it. I'm gonna pursue music. And I started reaching out to like a lot of different artists and musicians on Facebook. And I think I sent like 50 messages, and like 1 or 2 responded.
See, that's how much hustle and persistence you have to have.
Yeah. Especially when you're younger too, you have that like you should lean into that energy you have when you're young, where you just will, like, I had so much enthusiasm to
You're
just.
not afraid to fail. What do you feel like you've learned over the years? And I know that's a broad question, but I mean, when you think about like working with Will Smith, working with Selena Gomez, you must have learned something from each of those experiences. And yeah, what does that question even make you think?
There's a lot I've learned. I actually am writing a script for like a really long video that I want to make. Basically, it'll be like an hour-long YouTube video of everything I did in my career to get where I am.
Wow.
But as I've been writing it, I've been thinking about some of like what you're saying, and I think I wish I had memorized it, but I sort of like wrote this formula for what I think luck is. Obviously, it's talent is part of, like, when a lucky moment lands in your lap, which I've been, you know, fortunate to have a couple of those. It's obviously like being talented is part of it, but I think one of the biggest things I've learned in my career is how important your energy is, because I've never been the most talented creator. Like, I'd say truthfully, and this isn't me just like trying to
Be humble.
It's true. It's true. Like, straight up, the truth is that I feel like I'm kind of like a middle of the road creator. Like, I'm better than some people. I see their work and I'm like, oh, I could do better than that. But like half the stuff I see, I'm like, that person is way more talented than me just at the video part. So what I've learned is that getting through those doors and getting these relationships going and getting these opportunities is so much about just how you show up energetically, you know, and like being the person that shows up to a set or to a shoot and is just like radiating this energy that you're so like, this is the best day of your life, you know? And like, you have to try to tap into that. Like, something I do is before I go onto a set, like I'll meditate in my car or like just wherever I can find a quiet spot, and I'll just have a conversation with myself. Like, all right, you're lucky to be in this situation. You know, like, you have worked really hard to get here. There have been a lot of people that have sacrificed to give you these opportunities, like how much sacrifice my parents made, everything. Like, I think about that whole journey before I go into a room, so that way I don't ever like go into that room and just treat it like it's just another day. You know, it's got to be like something really special.
Today's episode of Beyond is brought to you by MoonPay. MoonPay is your portal to Web3 where you can transact with peers globally and own your digital identity. MoonPay makes it fast and simple to jumpstart your Web3 journey. Quickly use your debit or credit card to buy and sell crypto and purchase digital collectibles. Visit moonpay.com to get started.